Hello, everyone. I'm Natasha, your host for today's lesson. If this is your first time here, I want to let you know that we upload a brand new English learning video every single day to help you speak better, sound fluent, and build confidence in your English communication. Today's video is all about helping you speak professional English in everyday situations so you can become more fluent, more confident, and more natural in your speech. You're not just going to improve your listening today, you'll also learn how to express yourself in a smarter and more professional way, using real-life language that people use at work, in meetings, during interviews, and in day-to-day conversations. We'll go through practical English expressions, sentence structures, and situations that will train your brain to think in English like a fluent speaker. Whether you're working in a professional environment or just want to improve your daily conversations, this video will help you speak English clearly and effectively. You'll get a lot of practice along the way, so make sure to stay with me till the end. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on daily English lessons that are simple, clear, and designed to help you improve fast. So, grab a pen and notebook if you can, and let's begin your journey to speaking professional English today. Speaking professional English is not just about using complicated words or sounding like a native speaker. It's about knowing how to express yourself clearly, politely, and with confidence in different situations. Whether you're having a conversation with a colleague, attending a meeting, or even writing an email, using professional English helps you create a good impression and shows that you're serious about communication. Today, we're going to explore how to build that professional tone in everyday conversations so that you can use it naturally without hesitation or fear. One of the first things to understand is that professional English is more structured and polite than casual English. That doesn't mean it has to be boring or robotic. It can still be friendly and warm, but it needs to be respectful, well-organized, and clear. For example, instead of saying, "I want this done," a professional version would be, "I'd appreciate it if you could complete this by tomorrow." Notice how much softer and more respectful that sounds. It invites cooperation instead of commanding. Let's look at a few more examples. In a casual setting, you might say, "Tell me what's going on." But in professional English, you could say, "Could you please update me on the situation?" Or instead of saying, "I don't like this idea," you could say, "I'm not sure this aligns with our goals." You're still expressing your thoughts, but in a more respectful and professional manner. These kinds of expressions not only help you sound fluent, but also make your communication more effective. And the good news is, you can practice them daily with just a little bit of attention to how you speak and what words you choose. Let's begin with a short practice example to get your brain thinking in professional English. Imagine you're in a team meeting and someone asks for your opinion on a new project. Instead of saying, "Yeah, it's okay, try this. I think the project has potential, but I'd like to see more data before making a final decision." See the difference? It's thoughtful, polite, and clear. Try repeating that with me now. "I think the project has potential, but I'd like to see more data before making a final decision." Saying this out loud helps you internalize it, and with repetition, it will become natural. Another great way to speak professional English is by using modal verbs and softeners. These include words like could, would, might, may, and should. For example, instead of saying, "You're wrong," which can sound rude, you could say, "I'm not sure I agree with that perspective," or "That may not be the best approach for this situation." It's the same message, but it's delivered in a professional, respectful tone. Now let's do a mini exercise to help you practice this. I'll say the casual sentence first, and then you'll hear the professional version. Try to repeat the professional version after me. First sentence. This doesn't make sense. Now, the professional version. Could you please clarify this part for me? Let's try another one. Casual. You didn't do it right. Professional. I think there may have been a misunderstanding. Let's review it together. Keep repeating these with me. Casual. I want this now. Professional. Would it be possible to have this completed by the end of the day? And one more. Casual. You're late again. Professional. I noticed a delay in your arrival today. Is everything all right? These little changes in how we say things can make a huge difference in how others perceive us, especially in professional or formal settings. Now let's talk about one of the most useful phrases in professional English. I'd like to. This is a soft and polite way to express your intention. For example, I'd like to suggest a different approach. Or, I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss this further. It shows initiative, but also keeps the tone respectful. Let's practice some of these together. Repeat after me. I'd like to follow up on our previous conversation. Now try. I'd like to request a brief update on the current status. And another one. I'd like to clarify a few points before we proceed. Practice these slowly at first, then try to say them fluently. This is how you build muscle memory for fluent speaking. Another important part of speaking professional English is listening carefully and responding with empathy. In many situations, it's not just about saying the right words, it's about showing that you understand what others are saying and responding thoughtfully. If someone shares a concern with you, instead of jumping in with a solution, you could first say, I completely understand your concern. Let's see how we can address it together. Or, thanks for bringing that up. I'll look into it right away. These responses show that you are professional, supportive, and calm. Now let's take a short practice story to help you imagine these phrases in context. Imagine this. You are working at an office, and your coworker sends you an email saying they're struggling to meet the deadline. Instead of replying with, "Why didn't you finish it yet?" you write back, "Thanks for letting me know. I understand deadlines can be challenging. Let me know if there's anything I can do to support you in completing the task." This tone builds trust, collaboration, and professionalism. Let's take a moment to reflect on how you can build these habits into your daily English practice. Start by observing how you speak at work or in formal conversations. Do you use clear, polite language? Do you ask questions respectfully? Do you show understanding when others speak? If not, don't worry. These skills can be learned and practiced every day. Try this daily routine, Every morning, take 5 minutes to repeat professional phrases out loud. For example, say, "I'd appreciate it if you could," or "Would it be possible to," or "Let's schedule a time to discuss this." Repeat them slowly, then faster, then try using them in your own sentences. You could say, "I'd appreciate it if you could review this document by Thursday." Or, "Would it be possible to push the deadline to next week?" Or, "Let's schedule a time to review our progress." The more you do this, the more confident and natural your professional English will become. Let's take another practice exercise. I'll describe a situation, and you try to form a professional response in your mind. Situation: you are late for a video meeting due to a technical issue. What would you say? Think for a moment. A good professional response could be, "Apologies for the delay. I had some technical difficulties joining the meeting. Thank you for your patience." Try saying that with me. "Apologies for the delay. I had some technical difficulties joining the meeting. Thank you for your patience." Let's try another one. Situation: your manager asks you to take on a task that you're not familiar with. What could you say? A great response would be, "Thank you for trusting me with this task. I may need some initial guidance, but I'm happy to learn and handle it to the best of my ability." This kind of response shows professionalism, willingness to grow, and a positive attitude, all of which are highly valued in English-speaking environments. As you continue developing your professional English, one thing that will help you sound more fluent is using transition words and connectors. These are phrases that help your ideas flow smoothly from one to another. In everyday conversation, they show organization and logical thinking, which are important for professional environments. For example, instead of just saying, "We need to change the plan," you can say, "Given the new updates, we may need to consider adjusting the current plan." Using phrases like, "given the new updates," "as a result," "however," "on the other hand," or "therefore," helps your English sound more advanced and professional. Let's practice with a few of these. Repeat after me. "As a result, we had to shift the timeline. Now try." "However, there may be other options worth exploring." And another. In conclusion, this approach seems the most effective. These transitions not only improve your fluency, but they also train your brain to structure ideas in English logically and clearly. Let's go a little deeper into how to answer questions in a professional way. Many times, we are asked for our opinions or feedback, and our response can either be very basic or it can reflect fluency and professionalism. For example, someone may ask, "What do you think of this design?" A basic response would be, "It's good." But a professional response would be, "I think the design is visually appealing and meets the user's needs. However, we might consider simplifying a few elements for better clarity." This type of response gives detailed feedback, shows thoughtfulness, and invites discussion. Let's practice. Imagine someone asks you, "What's your opinion on the recent meeting?" Try to respond professionally. Here's a good example. "I believe the meeting was productive, and it clarified many important points. I especially appreciated the focus on clear timelines." Practicing full, detailed answers helps you develop fluency, and it also gives you the confidence to speak in any setting. Another powerful tool in professional English is expressing agreement and disagreement respectfully. In English-speaking cultures, it's common to express disagreement in a polite and diplomatic way. Instead of saying, "I don't agree," you can say, "That's an interesting point, but I see it a little differently." Or, "I understand your perspective, but I have a slightly different take on it." This kind of language shows emotional intelligence and respect, and it makes your communication more effective. Let's practice these. Repeat after me. That's a valid point, but I'd like to offer another perspective. Now, try. I appreciate your idea, and I think we could build on it by also considering. These structures help you stay calm and respectful while still sharing your views. Now imagine a group discussion at work. Someone suggests working overtime every weekend. You don't agree. Instead of saying, "That's a bad idea," you could say, "I can see the motivation behind that suggestion, though I'm concerned it may affect team morale. Perhaps we can explore other solutions." That's how professionals communicate, with clarity, respect, and calm confidence. Now let's focus on one very important area of professional English: making polite requests. This is something you'll need every day in emails, meetings, or phone calls. Professional English often uses indirect language when making requests. This softens the tone and shows respect. Instead of saying, "Send me the file," a more professional version would be, "Would you mind sending me the file when you get a chance?" Or, "Could you please share the report by tomorrow morning?" These small changes make your language sound smoother and more fluent. Let's do a quick practice together. Repeat after me. Would it be possible to schedule the meeting for Friday? Now say, "Could you help me understand this section of the report?" And another one. "I'd really appreciate it if you could look into this issue." Try saying each sentence twice, slowly first, then at normal speed. The more you practice, the more comfortable these polite forms will become. Let's move on to expressing appreciation and gratitude, a key part of speaking professional English. Saying thank you in different ways shows politeness and professionalism. Instead of always saying thanks, you can use phrases like, "I appreciate your help," "Many thanks for your support," "I'm grateful for your quick response," or "Thank you for your time and attention." These expressions are useful in emails, meetings, and casual conversations with colleagues. Practice a few with me now. Say, "I truly appreciate your guidance on this project." I thank you for taking the time to explain that to me. And another, "I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with you on this." Use these phrases often. They help build professional relationships and show your positive attitude. Let's imagine a professional setting now. You're working in a team and someone helps you with a task. Instead of just saying thanks, you say, "Thank you for your support. I really appreciate your help with the presentation." Doesn't that sound warm and professional at the same time? You can apply this tone to almost every interaction. Another example, after a meeting, instead of leaving without saying anything, you could say, "Thank you for the productive discussion. I look forward to our next steps." These are small details, but they create a big difference in how fluent and professional you sound. Now, Let's talk about introductions and small talk, something that happens in every professional environment. When you introduce yourself, you don't have to sound like a robot, you just need to sound clear and friendly. Instead of saying, "Hi, I'm Sarah," in a professional setting you can say, "Hi, my name is Sarah, and I work in the marketing department. It's great to meet you." Let's practice introducing yourself with more detail. Repeat after me. "Hi, I'm James. I'm part of the sales team, and I focus on customer outreach. It's a pleasure to meet you." Try it again, with your own name and department. These small additions help you sound more natural and confident in workplace settings. Professional English also involves handling small talk and light conversation in meetings or breaks. It's useful to have a few polite phrases ready for these moments. You could say, "How has your week been so far?" Or, "It's been a busy day, hasn't it?" Or, "I hope everything's going well on your side." These are friendly and professional ways to start a conversation. Let's practice a short dialogue. Imagine this situation. You're meeting someone new before a meeting starts. You say, "Hi, I'm Natasha. I don't think we've met before." The other person says, "No, I'm Alex. I just joined last month." You respond, "It's great to meet you, Alex. How are you finding things so far?" This kind of exchange builds a friendly, respectful atmosphere. Try repeating this conversation out loud with your own name. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Now let's switch to giving updates and sharing progress in a professional way. This is especially useful during meetings or when sending follow-up messages. Instead of saying, "I finished it," you can say, "The task has been completed and the results are ready for review." Or instead of saying, "I'm working on it," you can say, "The task is currently in progress and I expect to complete it by tomorrow afternoon." These longer phrases help you sound more fluent and detailed. Let's practice with a few more. Repeat after me. "We've made good progress on the project, and we're on track to meet the deadline." Now try, "I'm currently reviewing the data and will share my findings soon." And another, "I've completed the initial draft and I welcome your feedback." These are excellent phrases to use in your workplace communication. Let's do a quick scenario practice now. Imagine you're in a virtual meeting and your manager asks how your part of the project is going. You respond, "I've completed the first phase of the project and will begin the next section tomorrow. So far, everything is going according to schedule." That sounds professional, doesn't it? You're not just saying "it's fine." You're giving real, useful information in a fluent way. This is the kind of speaking that helps you grow and earn respect in any English-speaking professional setting. Another area where professional English is very important is during presentations and public speaking. Even if you are not giving formal presentations every day, you still need to speak clearly and professionally when you're sharing your ideas in meetings, group discussions, or online calls. When you're preparing to speak in a professional setting, always try to organize your thoughts into 3 simple parts: an introduction, the main message, and a closing. For example, if you're presenting a project update, start with something like, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this update. I'll begin by summarizing the progress so far. Then I'll highlight some challenges. And finally, I'll talk about our next steps. This kind of structured language immediately shows that you are confident and prepared. Let's do a small practice together. Imagine you are giving a brief update in a team meeting. Try saying, "Good morning, everyone. I'd like to provide a quick update on the client proposal. We've completed the draft, received initial feedback, and are currently revising the content. We're on track to finalize it by the end of the week." Notice how that sounds organized, clear, and professional. You can use this same format in many situations by adjusting the details. The key is to start confidently, explain things clearly, and close smoothly. At the end of your update, you could say, "Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions." Try practicing that out loud a few times. The more you repeat these kinds of structures, the more fluent you'll become. Now let's move to one of the most practical areas of professional English: writing emails. Whether you are applying for a job, sending a message to your boss, or replying to a customer, emails are part of everyday professional communication. The way you write an email tells a lot about your professionalism and fluency. A good email has a polite greeting, a clear message, and a respectful closing. Instead of writing, "Hey, send me the files," write, "Dear John, I hope you're doing well. Could you please send me the updated files at your earliest convenience? Best regards, Natasha." You can see how this kind of message sounds more professional and shows proper English usage. Let's practice building a professional email. Imagine you need to request a meeting. You can write, "Dear Mr. Smith, I hope this message finds you well. I would like to request a brief meeting this Thursday to discuss our current project. Please let me know if that time works for you. Thank you for your consideration. Best regards, Natasha." Try reading that aloud a few times. Then try writing a similar message using your own words. Maybe you want to ask a question, share some feedback, or reply to a request. Practicing email writing in your own words will strengthen both your writing and speaking abilities, because professional writing often reflects spoken fluency too. Let's now talk about another very important skill in professional English: handling feedback. In many work environments, giving and receiving feedback is a normal part of communication. But how you respond to feedback really shows your professionalism and confidence. If someone gives you constructive feedback, don't just say, "Okay." Instead, say something like, "Thank you for the feedback. I'll review it carefully and make the necessary improvements." Or, "I appreciate your input, and I'll take your suggestions into account." This kind of response shows that you are open-minded and mature in your communication. Even if the feedback is hard to hear, staying calm and respectful will always leave a good impression. Let's do a mini scenario practice. Imagine your team leader says that your recent report had a few formatting issues. Instead of becoming defensive or silent, you respond by saying, "Thank you for pointing that out. I'll make sure to correct the formatting and submit a revised version shortly." That response is calm, clear, and shows that you're taking responsibility. Practicing this kind of language helps you build professional confidence. You can even practice alone by imagining different feedback situations. and planning your responses in advance. This mental rehearsal helps your brain learn how to stay composed and fluent under pressure. Another great area to develop fluency in is problem-solving conversations. In professional life, things don't always go according to plan. Sometimes you face challenges and you have to explain the situation clearly and suggest solutions. For example, if a delivery is delayed, don't just say, "It's late." Instead, say, "Unfortunately, the delivery has been delayed due to unforeseen circumstances. We're working closely with the supplier to resolve the issue, and we expect it to be delivered by Monday." See how much more professional and informative that sounds? Try repeating that sentence with me. Then, create your own version of a problem and how you would explain it professionally. Think of situations like system errors, late responses, schedule changes, and build your language around those. Let's do another scenario. Imagine that your client is upset because they didn't receive a reply to their email. You could say, "I sincerely apologize for the delay in responding. We value your time, and I'll make sure your concern is addressed promptly." This kind of language can turn a negative situation into a positive one, and it shows that you care about professionalism and respect. Practice similar statements regularly. You might say, "We understand your frustration, and we're doing everything we can to resolve the issue." Or, "Thank you for your patience. We're actively working on a solution." These phrases are easy to learn, and they make a big difference in how fluent and responsible you sound. Now, let's shift to one more area that helps you sound professional: speaking with confidence during phone or video calls. These types of conversations require you to think quickly and speak early. If you're not used to them, they can feel a bit stressful at first. But the good news is, with a few simple strategies and regular practice, you'll feel more confident in no time. Start your calls with polite greetings like, "Good morning, this is Natasha speaking. How can I help you today?" Or, "Hello, thank you for calling. May I ask who's speaking?" These opening lines are clear, professional, and give you control of the conversation. During the call, use short and structured responses. For example, "Let me check that information for you." Or, "I'll follow up with an email shortly." When ending the call, always use polite closings like, "Thank you for your time today." Or, "I'll send a summary of our discussion by email." These details help you maintain a professional tone throughout the conversation. Let's do a sample phone conversation together. Imagine someone calls your office and asks to speak to your manager. You respond, "Certainly. May I know the purpose of your call so I can inform them properly?" The caller explains, and you say, "Thank you. Please hold for a moment while I transfer your call." Practice this conversation out loud. It will help you become fluent in phone interactions, which are very common in professional life. To bring all this together, remember, professional English is a collection of habits. It's not something you learn in one day. It's something you build through daily practice, by repeating polite phrases, by thinking about how you express your ideas, by listening carefully, and by responding with thoughtfulness. One great technique is to keep a journal where you write down 3 professional sentences each day. For example, you might write, "I'd like to schedule a meeting with the client," or "Thank you for your feedback on the proposal," or "Let's follow up with a summary email after the discussion." Then, at the end of each week, review what you've written and try to use those phrases in real or practice conversations. You can also practice speaking in front of a mirror. Take a topic, like giving an update or requesting information, and speak for 1 or 2 minutes, using the phrases we've covered today. It doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is to develop confidence and fluency. Record yourself and listen back if possible. That way, you can hear your tone, pace, and clarity and improve step by step. You can also listen to native speakers in meetings, webinars, or interviews, and pay attention to how they structure their thoughts and use polite language. Write down phrases you like and try using them in your own conversations. Professional English also involves knowing how to politely interrupt, ask questions, and guide conversations without sounding too forceful. This is especially useful in meetings where you want to participate but don't want to come across as rude or too direct. In English-speaking cultures, people often use softeners before asking questions or interrupting. For example, if you want to share your idea in the middle of a discussion, instead of saying, "Wait, I want to say something," you could say, "Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to add something if I may," or "May I jump in here with a quick thought?" These types of phrases give you the space to speak without breaking the professional tone of the conversation. Let's practice a few together. Repeat with me. "If I may, I'd like to offer a suggestion." Now try. "Excuse me for interrupting, but I believe this relates to our current topic." These phrases are not only useful in meetings, but also in everyday group conversations, where clarity and politeness matter. Asking questions in a professional tone is also an important skill. Instead of saying, "What is this?" or "Why did you do that?" which can sound aggressive or rude, a professional tone would be, "Could you help me understand this part?" or "Would you mind explaining your approach a bit more?" You are still asking the same thing, but in a way that invites a positive and thoughtful response. Let's do a quick practice. Imagine you're confused about a colleague's report. Say, "Thanks for your work on this. I had a quick question about the second section. Could you walk me through your thinking there?" Try repeating that sentence and adjust it with different topics. Maybe it's about a schedule, or a task, or a customer request. Building this flexibility will make you fluent in real situations. Let's now imagine a real-life professional scenario and go through a conversation example together. You're working at an office, and your coworker made a mistake in a shared document. You want to address the mistake, but you also want to be polite and professional. You could say, "Hi, Michael. I was reviewing the document and noticed a small discrepancy in the numbers. Would you mind taking another look when you have a moment?" This tone is respectful, doesn't place blame, and invites cooperation. That's a key part of professional fluency, managing delicate topics with calm and thoughtful language. Try saying that with me again. Hi, Michael. I was reviewing the document and noticed a small discrepancy in the numbers. Would you mind taking another look when you have a moment? Try adapting that sentence with your own names or situations. Maybe it's about a presentation slide or an email that was sent too early. The more you customize these sentences in your practice, the easier it becomes to apply them in real life. Professional English also includes how you handle delays, rescheduling, or changes in plans. These things happen all the time at work, and the way you communicate during those moments says a lot about your fluency and professionalism. For example, if you need to reschedule a meeting, instead of saying, "I can't make it," you could say, "I apologize, but I won't be able to attend at the scheduled time. Would it be possible to reschedule for later this week?" Or if a deadline needs to be extended, you might say, "Due to unexpected changes in the project scope, I'd like to request a short extension to ensure the quality of the final work." These are professional ways to manage challenges. Let's practice together. Repeat. Would it be possible to move our meeting to Thursday afternoon instead? Now try. I understand the urgency, and I'll do my best to complete the task by tomorrow. These kinds of responses help you maintain a calm, clear, and respectful image in any situation. Now let's move into dealing with customer service situations using professional English. Even if you don't work in customer support, you may often have to respond to inquiries, complaints, or requests. Let's say a customer writes a complaint about a late delivery. Instead of replying with, "We're sorry, it's late," you can respond professionally like this. "We sincerely apologize for the delay. We understand how important this delivery is, and we're doing everything we can to resolve the issue promptly. Thank you for your patience." Now practice saying that sentence slowly, and then at a natural pace. Try creating a similar message for different situations, like a product return, a system error, or a billing question. For example, "Thank you for reaching out. We apologize for the confusion, and we're currently reviewing your concern to provide a quick resolution." This language is soft, clear, and professional. Let's imagine another example together. A customer asks for a discount after placing a large order. A professional response could be, "Thank you for your order and your continued business. We truly appreciate your support. I'll be happy to forward your request to the appropriate department for review." Notice the balance here. You are polite, appreciative, and clear about the process. Repeat this with me. "Thank you for your order and your continued business. I'll be happy to forward your request to the appropriate department for review." These responses are excellent practice for customer-focused conversations, and they're useful in both speaking and writing. Now let's talk about confidence. One of the biggest blocks for English learners. Many people know the grammar, the vocabulary, and the structure, but they still struggle to speak fluently because they lack confidence. Building professional fluency requires you to trust yourself, even if you make small mistakes. Remember, even native speakers make errors sometimes. What's important is the way you recover and continue. If you forget a word, try to explain it in another way. If you pronounce something incorrectly, just correct yourself politely and move on. For example, if you say, "I was rescheduling the meeting," I mean rescheduling. Just smile and continue. That's a professional attitude. People don't remember small mistakes. but they do remember how confident and composed you were. To grow that confidence, you need to create a daily practice habit. One great technique is the shadowing method. This means listening to professional English, such as podcasts, news reports, or business presentations, and repeating them out loud word for word. You listen to a sentence, pause, and say it back in the same tone and speed. This helps you train your ears, your mouth, and your brain to work together. Start with simple sentences like, "I'll get back to you on that," or "Let's touch base tomorrow," and build your way up to longer phrases. You can also record yourself reading sample dialogues and then listen to your pronunciation and pacing. Over time, you'll notice that your speech becomes smoother and more natural. Let's practice a mini shadowing session now. I'll say a professional phrase, and you repeat it after me. Ready? Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Now try. I'd be happy to assist you with that. One more. I understand the concern and will address it promptly. Try to say each one again, with natural tone and speed. These kinds of small shadowing exercises can be done every day, even for just 5 minutes. They build your muscle memory and increase your fluency. Now let's do a short role-play exercise. I'll describe a situation, and you respond using what we've learned. Here's the first one. You're joining a meeting a few minutes late. What do you say? Think for a moment. A professional sentence could be, "Apologies for joining a bit late. I had a previous call that ran over. Thank you for waiting." Try repeating that with your own timing or details. Now the second situation. Your colleague thanks you for helping with a task. How do you respond? Try, "It was my pleasure. Happy to support whenever I can." One more. Your manager asks if you've completed your part of the project. You say, "Yes, I've finalized my section and shared it with the team for review." Doing this kind of scenario-based speaking every day can help you gain fluency very quickly. Once you begin to feel comfortable with the idea of professionalism in English, the next step is to adopt professional expressions into your natural speech. The more you use them, the more natural they become. It's like trying on a new pair of shoes. At first, they feel unfamiliar, but after some walking, they become part of your stride. Think about how often we fall back on casual speech like, "I don't know," or "It's okay." In a professional setting, these can be upgraded. "I'm not sure at the moment, but I can find out," is far more effective and polished. Similarly, instead of saying, "It's okay," you could say, "That works for me," or "That sounds reasonable." These kinds of subtle changes raise your level of fluency without requiring complex grammar or vocabulary. Now, let's look at how professional tone changes depending on the environment. In an office, a polite request might sound like, "Would you mind reviewing this report before the end of the day?" At a hospital, a nurse might say, "Doctor, could you kindly take a look at this patient's chart when you have a moment?" And in customer service, someone may say, "I apologize for the inconvenience. Let me see what I can do to resolve the issue promptly." In all these examples, the speaker uses gentle, respectful phrasing. There's a calmness in their words, even when things might be stressful. That is the tone you should aim for when speaking professional English: respectful, cooperative, and composed. There's another phrase that can really transform your fluency: and that is as per. In professional emails and meetings, as per is often used to reference previous conversations or documents. For example, as per our last discussion, I will be forwarding the updated files by Friday. Or, as per the guidelines shared earlier, please ensure the form is signed before submission. This phrase shows that you are organized and paying attention to previous communication, a valuable trait in the workplace. Another helpful phrase is going forward. This is used to talk about the future in a professional way. Instead of saying, next time, do this. A better version would be, going forward, please ensure that all files are named correctly. Or, going forward, I will update the team on progress every Friday. It's polite, clear, and future-focused, and it makes you sound confident and capable. Let's now look at more examples in context. Imagine you're in a job interview, and the interviewer asks, "Can you tell us about a time you managed a challenging situation?" A casual reply would be, "Yeah, once I had this issue with a customer, and it was hard, but I fixed it." That sounds vague and unsure. Now, compare that with a more professional answer. Certainly, in my previous role, I encountered a situation where a client was dissatisfied with our delivery timeline. I listened carefully to their concerns, coordinated with the logistics team, and managed to speed up the process. The CL appreciated the effort, and we maintained a strong working relationship. See how that version sounds much more professional? That's the level of speech you should aim for. In any formal setting, fluent English doesn't mean fast English. It means clear, intentional, and confident English. That's a very important mindset shift. Many learners think that speaking fast makes them fluent, but often it leads to sloppy pronunciation and unclear messages. It's better to slow down and focus on sentence structure, tone, and clarity. Professional English especially values clarity. You don't have to use big words. Use the right words in the right way. Here's an everyday phrase. Let me get back to you on that. It's useful when you don't have an answer at the moment, but want to assure the other person you'll respond later. For example, if someone asks, "Can you confirm the budget for next month?" and you're not sure, instead of saying, "I don't know," you say, "Let me get back to you on that." It buys you time and keeps the conversation professional. A similar phrase is, "I'll follow up with you." This means you'll check in again or provide more information later. For example, "I'll follow up with you by email once I confirm the details." These kinds of phrases are not just polite, they also show responsibility and commitment, traits that fluent professionals are expected to show. One more great expression is, "at your earliest convenience." You'll often find this in emails or formal requests. Instead of saying, "Please do this quickly," say, "Please complete the form at your earliest convenience." It softens the urgency and shows respect for the other person's time. You could also say, "Kindly share the report at your earliest convenience." These are small phrases, but they make a big impact on how people perceive your English skills. Let's talk about meetings. Speaking professional English in meetings requires both confidence and preparation. You might start your points with phrases like, I'd like to add something here, or, if I may suggest an alternative, or, could we consider another approach? These opening lines make it easy to enter the conversation without sounding too direct. Then, when responding to someone else's point, you can say, that's a great point. I'd just like to expand on it. Or, I see your point. However, I believe we could also look at it this way. These phrases create room for dialogue, not just discussion, which is an important difference in professional environments. Also, always be prepared to ask for clarification. Professional English learners often hesitate to ask questions because they think it will make them look less smart. In reality, asking the right question shows engagement and understanding. You can say, could you please clarify what you meant by that? Or, just to confirm, are we expected to submit the report by Thursday or Friday? It's respectful and ensures everyone is on the same page. When you finish a conversation or a meeting, don't just say, okay, bye. Use something more polished, like, thank you for your time, or, it was a pleasure speaking with you, or, looking forward to working with you. If it's an email, you can use endings like, best regards, kind regards, or warm wishes. These all give your communication a friendly, yet professional touch. Sometimes, even how you apologize makes a difference. Avoid saying, I'm sorry I'm late, in a flat way. Try, I sincerely apologize for the delay. It won't happen again. Or, if you made an error, don't just say, my bad. Say, I apologize for the oversight. I've corrected it and taken steps to ensure it doesn't happen again. That not only shows professionalism, but also accountability. Now, let's return to a useful daily life example. Imagine you're working in a retail job. And a customer is upset. You could say, I understand your frustration, and I sincerely apologize. Let me see how I can help resolve this quickly. That is fluent, calm, and responsible. These are the kinds of sentences that build trust and professionalism. Whether you're in customer service, corporate meetings, or writing emails, remember, professional English is not just for offices or business settings, it's for any time. You want to express yourself clearly and respectfully, whether you're speaking with your professor, giving a presentation, working in customer support, or interviewing for your dream job. Professional English makes a difference. Now, let's move on to another essential part of speaking professional English: how to make polite and diplomatic requests. In everyday conversations, especially in workplaces, how you ask for something matters, just as much as what you're asking. For instance, instead of saying, give me that file, it sounds more professional to say, could you please share that file with me when you have a moment? The use of phrases like, could you, would you mind, and may I softens your tone and makes the conversation more respectful and professional. Even in casual settings, people appreciate politeness. And in business or formal conversations, it's not optional. It's expected. Let's go through some more professional ways of making requests. Instead of, I want a raise, try saying, I'd like to discuss the possibility of a raise based on my recent performance. See how that small change makes a big difference? It shows maturity, confidence, and respect, all in one sentence. Now, let's dive into another real-life scenario: attending a meeting. When you're part of a meeting, it's important to contribute your ideas clearly, and to do that, you need expressions that allow you to take the floor politely. For example, you might say, if I may add something to that, or I'd like to share a different perspective. These simple phrases help you join the conversation in a respectful and confident way. Also, when you agree with someone's idea in a professional setting, you can say, I completely agree with your point on, or I see your point, and I'd like to add. This keeps the flow smooth and helps you sound like an active, thoughtful participant. One thing many English learners struggle with in professional conversations is how to disagree without sounding rude. But it's completely okay to disagree. The trick is doing it respectfully. For instance, instead of saying, you're wrong, you could say, I understand your point, but I see it differently. Or, that's an interesting view, but I'd like to offer a different opinion. These phrases allow you to express disagreement without creating conflict. It's a powerful skill in professional communication, expressing disagreement with diplomacy. Now, let's talk about expressing opinions, a vital skill in both casual and formal conversations. Imagine you're in a discussion and someone asks you what you think. You can say, in my opinion, or from my perspective, or I believe that. These are neutral, professional ways to share your thoughts. Let's say your team is talking about whether to implement a new strategy. You might say, from my point of view, this strategy could bring more efficiency. Or, I believe this approach will be more effective in the long term. These types of sentences show that you're thoughtful, articulate, and respectful. Here's a quick tip. Avoid extreme or emotional words like always, never, hate, or terrible in professional settings. For example, instead of saying, this idea will never work, try, I have some concerns about the effectiveness of this idea. Instead of, that was a terrible presentation, say, I think there's room for improvement in how the information was presented. These small changes make you sound more composed, mature, and fluent. Now, let's add a little practice. I'll give you a casual sentence, and you try to make it sound more professional. For example, tell me what to do, a more professional way. Could you guide me on the next steps? Another one. I didn't get that. Professional version. I'm afraid I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat? One more. You're wrong. Professional version. I see where you're coming from, but I have a different view. Keep practicing these transformations. This kind of exercise is extremely helpful to train your brain to think in a professional tone automatically. Let's switch gears now and talk about giving feedback, whether it's in school, work, or even among friends. Being able to give constructive feedback is another powerful part of speaking English professionally. Instead of saying, you did it wrong, say, I noticed a few areas that might be improved. Instead of, that doesn't look good, say, maybe we could explore another way to make it more effective. These subtle changes help you maintain a respectful, supportive tone while still communicating clearly. It's not about hiding the truth, it's about expressing it in a way that's useful and encouraging. Another important phrase set to master is when you need to express uncertainty or buy time to think during a conversation. Instead of panicking or going silent, you can use phrases like, "Let me think about that for a moment," or, "That's an interesting question. Let me gather my thoughts," or even, "I'm not entirely sure, but I'll find out and get back to you." These phrases keep the conversation flowing and give you a chance to respond thoughtfully. Using fillers like or repeatedly can break the professional tone, so it's better to use these structured, confident phrases. Instead, let's practice this a little together. Imagine someone asks you a difficult question during a meeting. Instead of freezing, say, "That's a good question. I'll need a minute to think about it." Or, "Let me check the numbers and get back to you shortly." This shows that you're calm under pressure and take your communications seriously. Now here's a situation that many learners face: how to end a conversation professionally instead of just walking away or saying bye. You can say, "It was great speaking with you," or, "I appreciate your time. Let's connect again soon." In an email or a message, instead of just writing, "Thanks," you might write, "Thank you for your support. I look forward to working together again." Ending with a positive note leaves a good impression and shows professionalism. Let's take another minute to practice. I'll say a situation, and you think of a professional response. Ready? Situation 1. Your coworker helped you finish a report. You say, "Thank you for your help. I really appreciate your support on this." Situation 2. You're leaving a meeting. You say, "Thank you all. It was a productive session. Looking forward to the next steps." Situation 3. A client says goodbye after a call. You say, "It was a pleasure speaking with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions." See how natural and confident these sound? You can use them daily. Fluent, professional English is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about tone, choice of expressions, and awareness of social and cultural expectations. With every phrase you learn and every sentence you practice, you're becoming more prepared to face real-life situations in English confidently and fluently. And remember, you don't have to memorize everything. Start with a few phrases that you can actually use in your daily life and build from there. Repetition and usage are key. Now, let's take a closer look at how professionals build rapport and maintain a smooth flow in conversation. One very useful phrase that helps with that is, "Let me walk you through it." You'll often hear this in meetings or presentations when someone is explaining a process or guiding others through steps. Instead of just saying, "I'll explain," which sounds flat, "let me walk you through it," feels more natural and collaborative. For example, you might say, "Let me walk you through our strategy for the next quarter," or "Let me walk you through how this software works." It sounds friendly, informative, and confident, the tone you want in professional English. Similarly, phrases like "just to clarify" or "to put it another way" show that you are checking understanding or rephrasing for clarity. This is an excellent habit in fluent English. These are signals of a speaker who is thoughtful and aware of the listener's needs. Another essential part of professional English is learning how to structure your speech logically. When speaking in meetings or even writing emails, it's helpful to use linking phrases like, first of all, in addition, however, and as a result. These help listeners or readers follow your thoughts. For example, if you're discussing a project timeline, you might say, first of all, we need to finalize the design. In addition, the development phase will begin immediately after. However, delays may occur due to testing. As a result, the final launch may shift slightly. Notice how this structure makes your communication flow smoothly. Practicing these transitions will make you sound much more fluent and organized. Let's talk about professionalism in small talk. This might sound strange at first, but the way professionals engage in light conversation is part of fluent English too. Small talk is useful at the start of meetings, networking events, or even on business trips. Instead of jumping right into work, professionals often begin with light comments like, "How was your weekend?" Or, "Did you manage to catch the game last night?" Even comments about the weather or travel, like, "It was quite a stormy morning," or "The airport was packed today," are common. Learning how to navigate these moments makes you sound socially skilled and confident in English. It's not just about vocabulary, but the natural tone and rhythm. Try practicing these short exchanges with a friend or even in front of a mirror. Now, let's focus on pronunciation, because fluency is not only what you say, but how you say it. One tip is to work on sentence stress and intonation. In professional English, the tone is often more even and clear, with slight emphasis on keywords. For example, say the sentence, "We need to complete this by Friday." Now say it again, but stress "need" and "Friday." That subtle emphasis gives the sentence urgency and clarity. This kind of tone control is what makes someone sound fluent. Another example is intonation for polite requests. Instead of saying flatly, "Can you send me the file?" use a rising tone at the end. "Can you send me the file?" It sounds more polite and more native-like. Practice with real business phrases. "Could you give me an update?" Or, "Would you mind reviewing this?" Record yourself and listen back. Fluency comes from awareness and practice. Now here's a powerful practice exercise. I'm going to say a short professional dialogue, and I want you to shadow it. That means repeat what I say right after, copying the tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. Ready? Person A. "Hi, Sarah. I just wanted to follow up on our last meeting." Person B. "Hi. Thanks for reaching out. Yes, I've made the updates we discussed." Person A. "Perfect. Do you think we can finalize the report by Wednesday?" Person B. "Absolutely. I'll send you the draft by tomorrow." Now you try. Say each line aloud, match the pace and tone, and repeat until it feels natural. This kind of mimicry is one of the most effective ways to build fluency. and speak professional English confidently. Lastly, remember the power of listening. If you want to speak professionally, you must listen to how professionals speak. Watch interviews with CEOs, listen to TED Talks, or tune in to English business podcasts. Pay attention to how ideas are introduced, how arguments are structured, and how transitions are made. Fluency is often about noticing patterns. You might start to hear phrases like, "Let's circle back to that," or "That's a fair point, but have you considered?" These expressions are like the glue that holds conversations together in English. Take notes of these phrases and try using them in your own speech. Even if it's just during your personal practice time, the goal is to build comfort and confidence. Remember, speaking professionally isn't about sounding robotic, it's about sounding prepared, respectful, and clear. You can do this with regular practice and exposure. Now, let's bring everything together with a short story to help you absorb today's professional vocabulary and structures in a real context. Imagine this. You are working at an international company, and it's your first week. You walk into a meeting where the team is discussing a project timeline. You confidently say, "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to join the meeting today. I've reviewed the timeline, and I believe we might need to reassess the delivery schedule based on the client's feedback." Your manager nods and replies, "Thank you for your observation. Could you clarify which part of the feedback you're referring to?" You respond, "Certainly. In the client's email dated last Thursday, they mentioned that the launch window has shifted by 2 weeks. Therefore, our current delivery date may no longer align with their expectations." This kind of conversation demonstrates how professional English sounds: clear, polite, informative, and respectful. You are not simply speaking English, you are communicating strategically. Now, picture another setting. You're giving a quick update to your team. You say, "Just a quick update on the new onboarding process. The revised training manual has been finalized and is currently being reviewed by the HR department. We anticipate the official rollout by next Monday." Notice how professionally you are using the passive voice and business-specific language. This is the kind of tone and vocabulary that will help you stand out in any English-speaking professional environment. Keep in mind that fluency in professional English doesn't mean using big, complex words all the time. It means choosing the right words for the right context and delivering them in a confident, composed manner. Let's review some expressions from today's lesson that you can start practicing right away. Phrases like, "I appreciate your input." "Let me walk you through the details." "Could you clarify what you meant by that?" And, "We need to reassess our priorities," are not only polite, but also powerful. They help you guide conversations, respond diplomatically, and keep the tone respectful, even in challenging discussions. These phrases are especially useful in work emails, meetings, presentations, and professional networking events. The more you hear and practice them, the more they become second nature. To make these expressions a part of your natural speech, try the following simple technique. Record yourself speaking these sentences aloud. Every day, just pick 5 professional phrases and create short role plays with yourself. For example, imagine you are the team lead giving a status update, or a customer service agent resolving an issue, or an intern introducing themselves to the team. Practicing aloud helps your brain and mouth sync together, which is key for fluency. You don't need fancy resources, just your voice, your imagination, and your commitment to improvement. And here's a helpful bonus tip. If you ever feel whether your sentence sounds professional enough, ask yourself, would I say this in a formal meeting or an interview? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right track. If not, think of how you might rephrase it using the structures we've talked about today. Over time, your brain will automatically begin choosing more formal, polished alternatives. This is how you train your English brain to respond professionally, even under pressure. Also, try reading articles or reports from professional magazines or business news websites like Forbes, Harvard Business Review, or LinkedIn articles. These platforms are full of high-quality, professional English. Read them out loud and imitate the sentence patterns. You can even write down new vocabulary you find and challenge yourself to use them in your writing or conversations. Remember, every small effort adds up, and professional English is built through daily, consistent practice, not overnight miracles. So today, we didn't just learn about professional English vocabulary, we practiced how to use it in real situations, how to sound more fluent and polished, and how to carry yourself with confidence in English-speaking environments. This is the kind of fluency that transforms your communication from casual to commanding. I encourage you to go back and re-watch this video, pause when needed, and repeat the sentences along with me. Repetition is your friend when it comes to fluency. And finally, don't forget to be proud of your progress. Speaking professional English is not an easy task, especially when English is not your first language. But look how far you've come. By watching this video, you've taken a powerful step toward becoming the fluent, confident speaker you dream to be. Keep going, keep practicing, keep improving. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone else who's also on their English learning journey. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our daily English learning videos. I'm Natasha, and I'll see you in the next episode of English in Minutes. Until then, stay confident, stay curious, and keep speaking English every day.